on today's wrestling news, why Ricky Starks is off AEW TV.
A controversial former WWE superstar shoots on a potential return.
Jim Ross has been hospitalized.
And Rey Mysterio turning on Dominic. It nearly happened.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the after news. Right, let's talk all things Ricky Starks with all deference, I should say, to Simon Miller with this title, because we're actually not going to tell you why he's been off television. We're just going to give you a whole boatload of speculation here.
Yeah, just to make it explicitly clear at this point, we are not Simon Miller.
No, we don't.
You're not allowed to rage. We're saying it. We're confirming it.
It's not us on each other's shoulders and just a big coat, basically.
No.
But
Simon Adultman.
Everyone is asking where Ricky Starks is. Our very own Andrew Pollard asked Ricky Starks why I wasn't on AEW TV a while back, and he said, look, I'm cleared to go.
Great.
Just not doing anything with me. You do go and check that out interview, and thanks once again to Ricky for that. And again, just a speculation.
There's a lot here.
A lot. Fightful Select trying to decipher what's going on here, because you may have seen a post on Reddit Squared Circle that I think has subsequently been deleted, throwing a whole load of accusations, in the words of Rick Ross, about Ricky Starks around. The rumour mill has been all over the place over the last 24 hours. There was speculation that Starks had run into legal trouble in Calgary last year, fight at a bar or something like that, and that's why he wasn't being or able to be used in Canada. People saying that he's been constantly rejecting pitches within AEW, and just a whole load of other things as to why he's not been on telly for ages, since basically him and Big Bill dropped the tag titles, of course. Now, Fightful Select have been doing some excellent reporting on this, reaching out to sources within AEW who claim that Ricky Starks turning down pitches to be on screen are accurate to some degree. Another source with direct knowledge of the situation claimed that breaking up with Big Bill and feuding was the only pitch in the last several months that he rejected. More details on this with basically AEW thinking that this feud would launch Big Bill as a big heel and make Ricky Starks a huge baby face, and apparently Starks didn't think that Big Bill losing a feud to him would be beneficial to Bill, which I'm inclined to agree with, to be perfectly honest. And he wanted them to just have an amicable split if possible. Also, last year, when Starks obviously wasn't booked for All In, there was concern of fan reaction, so that's why they ran with the suspension storyline. Starks wasn't in favour of being in a tag team at that point, but particularly didn't like the lack of follow-up to his match with Bryan. Again, something I agree with him on. Those that Starks has talked to said that he felt like the end of last summer was a big turning point in how he was booked, and of course CM Punk's departure from the company slowed his momentum. Again, another agree from me on that one.
There's a bunch of Bobby Fishes there, isn't it?
Starks is said to be medically cleared, as he sort of alluded to with the chat with Pollard. Conflicting information internally about discussions between Starks and Tony Khan about bringing him back. Regarding the rumours of that incident in Calgary, just to circle back to that, numerous AEW sources say we've never even heard about anything like this. AEW didn't comment in an official capacity, and Ricky Starks claims that he was never in legal trouble in Canada. And with regards to the widely circulated rumour and general assumption that he ends up wanting to go to WWE, he was obviously there at WrestleMania, he's been there, Cody's there, of course. There are certainly people in AEW who believe that, but there is no firm info on Starks' contract or his intentions going forward, let's say. So in terms of why he's not been on TV, we still don't know. Apologies. But it felt like this Reddit post in particular needed to be dealt with today.
Well, let's let ourselves off the clickbait hook slightly here, if I can echo my friends in Paramore. Like, why is Ricky Starks not on television? This is why. All of that is, you can say, there's maybe no definitive one statement, but all of them combined is, that's a lot going on. Like the only fact that we can glean, I think, that we all know publicly, that everyone is out there, Ricky Starks is physically fit and healthy and good to go. Like that is...
And has been for a while.
Yeah, for a while there was rumours about his injury and his health. He tried to move to say it, and it's never been a problem, and that remains true in spite of everything else being speculative. And there is some great reporting in fact. I'm not saying Fightful's reporting here is speculation. They are doing the work. They are trying to drill in to the speculation. They're trying to get some more double-sourced information to get people to either yes or no all of these multiple different strands and loose threads and things like that. you're right. It's worth backtracking so many of these individual moments and looking back and saying, yeah, but was he in the right there? Was he in the right there? Was he in the right? That's a subjective bit. There's going to be people probably disagree in the comments.
Yeah.
Be nice to each other as you fight. That's all we ask.
Yes.
Like, because you can argue about a booking decision, a booking call. CM Punk situation threw so much in the air last summer, but the Bryan Danielson like-for-like replacement felt like a way to keep Starks at least on track, didn't it? Like, he would have presumably lost something similar to the strap match that he had with Bryan to Punk.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, where do you go with this new heel, Ricky Starks, in the aftermath of the Punk loss? They were kind of still there. He lost to Bryan. What next? Nothing. Right, Big Bill, we're back on track again. Break up.
Want to put the titles on Dom Dancing, which is fine.
Absolutely. Break up. What's next? Nothing. Like, you can see the wrestler frustration setting in, and it's wrestling. We would typically say there's two sides to every story. There's often more wrestling than two. So you've got like multiple people to consider here. Not least Ricky Starks, who is has every right as a performer to say yes or no to things, have creative input. Equally, the promoter has every right to say, no, do it.
Yeah.
And a story plays out exactly as they wish. So it's a very, very complex one here.
I am conflicted on this, because I sometimes hear these stories about people saying, I don't want to lose to so-and-so and so-and-so. And I'm like, it's kind of part of your job here.
Yeah.
But also, I just think he's really been underutilised by AEW. I think he's got the potential to be one of the biggest stars in wrestling, Ricky Starks. I think he's so talented, and I think they've dropped the ball with him on numerous occasions. The immediate aftermath of that MJF title feud, where we were sat there going, you could circle back to this at the end of the year with the whole, I know it wasn't kind of a thing by that point, but the whole bidding war of 2024 and Ricky Starks being the last guy to potentially fight him.
His character was in great health, wasn't it?
I always thought there was such potential there. Again, with I know it was Punk, but then subsequently Danielson, but then after that, nothing. And then, if he thinks we're just going to do the archetypal tag team splits, fight each other, and then they go off in different directions. I don't think it would have helped Big Bill losing to... I don't think he's in a good place right now in the bloody learning tree, but I don't think losing to Ricky Starks would have helped Ricky that much or benefited Big Bill either. And I think he's within his rights, considering how badly they've booked him, to say, I don't want my big return to be that.
Think about this. On the Big Bill point, right, if Starks is coming at this as I don't think it works, he's got actual evidence. Did the Powerhouse Hobbs thing work for either of them?
Yeah.
And that's the same pitch. Big guy, little guy team breaks up, big guy turns on little guy wins in the end. Where were both of them after that? Not that much further forward, really. So he's got evidence to suggest, I've kind of tried this route and it didn't really work, can we do something else? And, again, to the point of the Fightful reporting, they are making it clear. AEW sources say, they're not going to reveal the sources, obviously, but these sort of like remarks and in some cases confirming stories, in some cases pushing back on them, are all coming from people within that system. So there are going to be people that are allies of Ricky, there are going to be people that are perhaps enemies of him, but nonetheless, they are willing to acknowledge that there should be this bit of push and pull between promoter and performer until you land on the, it's that old Office gag, isn't it? Where it's like, he's got the Michael and Toby and Dwight or whatever, have got the big binder and it's like, win, win, win. Like, you're supposed to come to a conclusion where everybody gets a bit of a win. And right now it feels like the opposite. Fans are not getting what they want. Like, Tony Khan went on the record and said, I'd love to use him. You're the one that can. So there must be a reason why Tony Khan's not getting what he wants. And obviously Ricky Starks isn't either. It's lose, lose, lose.
I just want to see what Ricky Starks looks like in WWE, to be perfectly honest.
A lot of people are thinking that at this point. So
we'll keep you posted. We'll see. And Ricky, if you want to clarify anything, you know where we are, mate.
Yeah, Hill Pollard, I'd watch another one of your chats any day of the week. Yeah, you leave the 2-year gaps, so you leave the gaps like Punk and Helwani, but you don't need to. I'd watch you guys talk all day. It's a very handsome video. You have to watch it a few times.
Too gorgeous, mate.
You first spend the first one being dazzled by the beauty, and then you have to watch it a second time. Speaking a little bit, I suppose, of people potentially going to WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Lacey Evans has been on.
All right.
Yeah. A controversial figure, I think it's safe to say, from her time in WWE. And she's been gone from the company now. She had requested her release, and ultimately it wasn't granted until it expired. That's what we've learned about Lacey Evans' exit from WWE. She was speaking to Carlo Perusa, and with a hat tip to Post Wrestling for digging out this interview. Andrew Thompson does fantastic work finding all of these fantastic quotes. She speaks very kindly of WWE, but then she does kind of reveal what happened as part of her release. She said, quote, I love WWE, it was awesome. I appreciate everything that I've gotten knowledge-wise, relationship-wise. But from the beginning of my career, I always wanted a family and a big family. I wanted to be a mom and a wife, and there was nothing that would ever come between that. I was 33 when I finally got to get out of my, and she's about to say contract, and then she says, they wouldn't let me get out of my contract. They wouldn't let me get out of my contract, which was fine. You signed a contract, you give me your word, so I had to wait until it ran out, and it ran out in August. She's referring, of course, to August 2023 when she probably parted ways. But then she was asked about possibly wrestling again. She's obviously must be, very much enjoying her time as a wife and a mother, away from the grind and the rigour of WWE. Not that being a wife and a mother isn't the hardest grind there is. She says, "I love wrestling. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't my passion, but I love the hard hitting action. If there's a company out there that will bring me in to kick ass and get my ass kicked, that's great. But right now we're focused on have a lot of investment properties. When I tell you we invested from all the blessings that WWE has given us, we have." So yeah, like 2022 was her last full-time year, and you remember the countless changes that character underwent.
Oh God, yeah.
Heel to babyface, Raw to SmackDown, Raw to SmackDown.
The most the latter era Vince stuff ever, wasn't it?
She went through going through the process of having to relive an incredibly traumatic childhood that theoretically should have set her up for a babyface run, but then they tried to spin it like she was a heel. You don't understand. And then one minute she was a flag-waving babyface again. It was like, are you patronising us with this, or are you actually just earnest? It was both, as it turned out.
Yeah, they didn't really know what they were doing.
And then, as she says, she was, had to sit out a long time to see out the months of the contract, missed through injury because she was one of the people that had months tacked on for time away. The Becky Lynch story that brought her to the kind of main roster after months of waving was super controversial because people couldn't believe that this was your follow-up for the man, this like random wrestler off NXT
Raw after Mania she got KO'd, didn't she?
Which Becky didn't sell, which created controversy backstage there. And, oh my God, a tumultuous run to say the least for Lacey Evans. Encountered a number of enemies, I would say, in real life for some tastes that she shared online that maybe weren't necessarily to everybody's liking. Just quite a ride.
I don't know what to say about this because my initial reaction was like, fine, you want to go off and just be a family person, that's absolutely fine too. And I wasn't the biggest fan of hers when she was on the main roster. And then a bit of my brain went, what are your thoughts on Nia Jax? And look how I feel about Queen Nia now. I think she's brilliant. I think she's been a fantastic re-sign by WWE. Mm-hmm. This may well be the case with Lacey Evans. Under the new Papa H regime, anything is possible. It's nice that the ball's in her court. Like, she hasn't got to be like, I kind of have to get back to wrestling because I want to provide for my family. She's got all this stuff going on. That's great for her.
Work is going to work though, and we know we're part of this machine, and I guess you by watching R2. When wrestlers come up in conversation, it's rarely an accident. Like, they will send feelers out or get interviews or get the name out there. Like, it's that kind of industry, and the fact that she is back in the news suggests that one can assume at least that she's thinking, I don't mind if a wrestling company hears that I'm available and ready to work. So maybe keep them peeled, who knows.
And good to see her brother Javon doing great stuff in NXT as well. So anyway, let's move on and talk about...
It's a literal NXT, but we have the same name. Jordan Grace and Ariana Grace.
The Lees are doing great stuff.
Indeed.
Dragon, Wes.
We need to do another Wrestling Families thing. Like, just the amount of different PowerPoint presentations The Rock can show of these imagined families.
Chris Evans, that's a name.
Gabriel Kidd and A Kid, currently Axiom.
Right. Let's move on to some sad news, unfortunately, actually, with regard to Jim Ross, who has unfortunately provided with an update to us on social media that he's back in hospital, tweeting another trip to the ER, difficulty breathing, likely an overnight stay. He'll be okay. Let's fight. Previously in hospital due to a shortness of breath back in May, causing him, of course, to miss Double or Nothing. He's been dealing with, obviously, numerous health issues over the last few years and certainly the last calendar year. I hope he gets better soon. He's the voice of my childhood in terms of wrestling, Jim Ross, and it sucks to see him in this sort of scenario. Like, he's kind of found his place within AEW, hasn't he? Sporadic use has worked perfectly for both him and AEW, and just rubbish to read this, along with the news we did in our first news video of the day with the passing of Roman Reigns' father. I just bad day for this sort of thing.
It's not nice to share, but we do so basically as an excuse to get well soon, don't we?
Yeah.
We want to be part of the wrestling media and the wider wrestling landscape and the fan base. You know, we talk about like saying things in the comments as long as you're not fighting, and it's part of like the community of pro wrestling fans. And we all wish Jim Ross the very, very best. It's as you say, like it's as he finds himself in a real sweet spot where you talk about legacies and careers and all that sort of stuff. His wrestling career and legacy will presumably culminate in this last run of AEW, where when he drops his voice on the main event, the gravitas goes up like that. Like this is the spot for the man, and you know, get well soon. And we really mean that, because when you're in that next spot once again, like something like Wembley would be the perfect place.
Yeah, take your time. But yeah, I'd love him to be, even just like if he could be back in time for Forbidden Door, that'd be amazing. Like Swerve Ospreay with his commentary on it would be sensational.
From all of us, and we imagine everybody watching. Get well soon, Jim.
Get well soon, Jim.
We'll end it on a lighter story, shall we? I know you've been looking forward to hearing a bit more about this one. So, all-timer heel turn in wrestling history. I think it's safe to say Dominick Mysterio losing his shoe up Edge's gusset and then turning on his father, Rey Mysterio, at a Clash at the Castle.
Who could have booked it?
I don't know, man. Just like we always said it would happen at Clash 2022. But
it was electric, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. However, it nearly went the other way. And
what?
How would that have even worked?
He's already a deadbeat dad.
Well, Rey Mysterio's a deadbeat, apparently, in real life as well as on Twitter. If you recall when he said he wanted to beat his son's ass on 2K all those years ago. He also wanted to do it in real life. And this came out in an interview with Chris Van Vliet. It's funny stuff.
Not another great Chris Van Vliet interview.
Rey Mysterio, a pro wrestling genius, a creative one, not sure. He says, quote, I remember bringing it up one time when Dom and I were working together. I brought it up to Vince and it was brief. He said, like maybe I turn on Dom and we continue something along those ways. But getting feedback from some of my colleagues, like, no, you're the babyface that could never be a heel. You're like Ricky Steamboat. Nobody can see you as a heel. I don't think they could buy into it. And then Mysterio went on to say, I'm kind of glad they listened and that they didn't listen to me, because the best thing for me that could happen is for Don to become the heel and the evil one. And that's him speaking of his own son.
It fits Dominick Mysterio so well, this role.
How do you even do it? How Rey Mysterio, like lifelong babyface, outside of like 5 minutes when WCW tried and failed to make him a heel. The stupid little devil horns, and his work was still so great that you couldn't boo him. Like, how on earth? Like, because, you know, we obviously pitched the most logical heel turn that WWE just didn't go with because Triple H hadn't been in charge long enough to make it. So we said, obviously, put him on his shoulders, electric chair on the ramp. Like, that was clearly the common sense way for son to turn on father.
Well, we booked that for WrestleMania 35?
We booked it for 3 years straight.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it in reverse because Ray picking up Dominic, that would be a chicken fight in reverse, wouldn't it? You can't, like, you're not supposed to put,
You'd
like...
be dragging on the floor.
Yeah, like it's like the Andrade powerbomb from the other day. Oh, there's no space for me legs. Drill like that. What's it? He'd kick his own son in the balls. Like, what's the move?
I mean, people we're kind of sick of Dom at that point, so they're ready to boo him as a heel. So he'd probably Ray would remain a babyface because the people be like, yeah, you know, I probably deserve that actually.
That's it. Like Dominic was.
I feel no sympathy for Dominic Mysterio. He's a right wanker. He is.
Sorry. Remember the era where like Dominic was obviously, you know, partnering with his dad and all was good. They were going through vortexes to wrestle matches. He was kind of wearing like similar gear, and everybody was going, you're terrible, mate. Like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And it was just felt like...
needed that.
Yeah, it felt like a desecration of the Mysterio name almost, have Dominic trying to be a baby. Apart from that really funny Thunderdome spot where Roman threw him off the face of the earth. Remember, he just didn't shoot him.
Brock threw him into a wall as well at one point. Like, Ray was injured and he was like, oh, by the way, I'll kill your son whilst I'm here.
You just see Dominic flying. And then you hear that, like Sims the Elias one, you just hear a sort of... Like, oh, well, Dominic's never coming back then.
Yeah,
I
think, to be fair, I think this is the right call.
I reckon so.
Because, I mean, we're going to have to go and do it now. We've got time? Yeah, we've got a bit of time. Can we go and watch the Ray versus Dom WrestleMania match?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, both their entrances are incredible.
Yeah.
Dom's is legendary. Ray's is awesome as well, I should say.
Shout out to Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
And the match is class.
Yeah, all-timer stuff. And it's happening again this week on Raw. Ray versus Dominic. One more time, a WrestleMania rematch.
Oh.
Get it in your eyes.
Yeah. Anyway, go and watch that today. But first, why not watch this morning's news video, which is right here. We'll see you soon.